Hi, all right, can everybody hear me? Okay, first of all, I see everybody's getting kind of fidgety, so everybody stand up. We're gonna do a 7th inning stretch. Because that's kind of a tough act I have to follow, so I promise I will not talk as long as they are, and I'm not nearly as funny as they are either. So, okay, when you're comfortable, you may sit. So I wanted to talk to everybody about wild burros. And I wanted to acknowledge a couple of people who are here, namely JJ Nolan and Louis Andreas, who are sitting up and hiding in the corner back there. They are two of our wranglers at our Ridgecrest Corrals in Ridgecrest, California. And these guys handle wild burros all day long, and wild horses too. So if you ever have questions about how to deal with wild ones without necessarily taming them, these are the guys to talk to. So anyhow, we have 16 gelding burros over in the barn over there on the other side of that trailer, and they are aged 1 year to 8 years old, and they are available for adoption. So for the past week or so, some of the veterinary students have been working to general these donkeys for adoption, and the veterinary students here, and Eric can probably tell you more about them than I can, have been working every day with these animals to try and get them halter trained and ready to go home for you. Now, not all of them are at the same stage because every animal is a little different, as you've heard from previous lectures, but they are there, and we are having an adoption for them on Sunday from 1 to 4. So anybody here, wait, I'm back up. Has anybody here adopted before? Any adopters? Yay, okay. So everybody see whose hands were up. If you have questions on what it's like to general wild burro, ask those people. They will be available, like I said, on Sunday. We do have adoption applications for you to fill out. And I have some information here as well, some brochures that I can hand out to you. So I want to keep this quick because I see the weather's changing also. When you adopt one of these wild animals, that will be a little less wild, we hope, by the time Sunday comes around, it's a pretty rewarding experience. But the thing that you're doing is, JJ, Louie, and I are with the government. Yes, we are, and we are in charge of managing these animals. And what we want to do is make sure that they find good homes. So when you adopt one of these animals, you're actually signing a contract with the government, with the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, that you're going to take care of these animals for 1 year. And in that year, we try to come out and check on every animal that we adopt out here in California, because we want to make sure that the animals are in a good place and that you're in a good place. So we are from the government, and we really are here to help. We do want to make sure that these are successful adoptions. We're not out here to be, we don't come out and check on you to be the bad guys or the cops or whatever. But we do answer questions and can help you get through some sticky spots if that happens. So for that first year, you're fostering the animal for the BLM. And at the end of the year, you'll get title to the animal. And what that means is now the animal becomes your private property, and you can do with it what you wish. For that first year, while it's still under BLM's title, you can't move it, for example, without letting us know. You can't sell the animal. You can't give it away. If something bad happens to it, you got to let us know, because we are kind of keeping track of these animals. When Guinness, my little brown burro that was running around here, you could see on his side of his neck, perhaps you noticed a funny white mark. Every BLM animal that has been out in the wild gets one of those on their neck. It's called a freeze mark. And our freeze mark is a series of 8 characters. And each character stands for a number 0 to 9. And basically, those string of characters tells us where the animal was, or what state they were prepped in, how old they are, and we can look them up in our database. What it tells you is that, oh geez, I have an animal that was once wild. So you can call us if you find an animal like that, if you purchase one or find one somewhere along the line, and you can call the BLM and we can give you information on that animal. So that, I'm trying to think. Let's see. Trying to keep this quick because I know it's the end of the day and we're all getting tired. So I also wanted to acknowledge Lynn. Is she? Oh, there she is. Lynn is a friend of mine. And one of the things that's fun about adopting a wild burro is that you get to do funny donkey things, as we probably all do. And so one of our funny donkey things is we've created a group called the Wild Ass Women. So people who have adopted a wild ass are allowed to join the Wild Ass Women, and men too. We have associated men folk. So we do a lot to promote the burros. We do parades and stuff around California and Nevada, and we just have a good time, and we dress up. Lynn has done some fabulous costumes with her donkeys. But that's one of the fun parts of owning or adopting a BLM burro. Membership does have its privileges, but does anybody have any questions? I know I'm running through this super fast because I know it's the end of the day and we're all getting antsy. So I don't want to keep you here talking.
I just like that the freeze indicated that it was illegal to have the animal killed for meat.
Oh, okay. All right. So she said the freeze mark prevents the animals from being commercially processed, basically, or slaughtered. And that is true for the first year.
That's not true later.
No, once the animal so she asked, that's not true later. For the first year, the animal is protected until it's titled. Once the animal becomes titled, it becomes somebody's private property, and we no longer track that animal. So, no, so she asked, are slaughterhouses allowed to take these animals? They are, if the animal is titled. So if the animal is titled, it no longer is protected by BLM. So, don't we send them to slaughter? No, we do not. We don't. No, all right. So she asked about the third adoption event. Okay, so there's two different things. Two different things we're talking about here. One is no, the BLM does not send animals to slaughter. If they did, I would not be working for them. So that is not permitted. So what happens is we have what this other lady, I know your name because I've met you several times, but I can't remember. We have animals that are called sale eligible, and animals that are sale eligible don't have that 1 year waiting period to get title. So if you buy an animal, then that animal becomes your private property. However, if you buy an animal and don't choose to adopt an animal, meaning with the 1 year waiting period to get title, you also sign a contract stating that you're not going to send that animal for commercial processing. So we had some people who did that, and we prosecuted them. If we find out you do it, we don't sell to you again. So that's not something the BLM likes or supports, so we do what we can when we can. So, I'm sorry? Well, there may be animals there, but they may be titled. But the BLM is not taking them there. They're not coming from our facilities we don't do that. We don't. There may be private people who take their animals that are titled, but we do not take animals that are untitled, that are on our property to there. It's just not what we do.
I was wondering, how many jacks, are most of the jacks gelded for adoption? I have seen a couple of jacks that have been adopted.
Okay, good question. She asked, do we ever adopt jacks? We will adopt jacks if people come to the facility and specifically want a jack, but we prefer not to send jacks out or stallions. We try to geld everything, because most people can't handle a domestic stallion, much less a wild stallion, or domestic jacks versus a wild jack. So we're not about that. Mother Nature is doing a fabulous job breeding these animals. And you can go look at the animals that we have over there. We've got animals from Southern California, from our Chemehuevi and Clark Mountain areas, and from our Twin Peaks area, and one animal from Centennial. And those animals all have very different phenotypes. They all look very different. And you'll see that in there. It's not like they're a cookie cutter. Mother Nature breeds these animals, not a domestic breeder. They're not breeding for the show ring. They're not breeding to win a ribbon. They are breeding to live till tomorrow. So Mother Nature does some really interesting things out there. And so you'll see some different influences. You'll see tall, fuzzy ones, and you'll see really stout ones and really thin-legged, light ones. So, question? Okay, yeah, so she asked, will we be posting information about the animals? Yes. Oh, and the other thing I did forget to mention is if you're interested in adopting, we're going to set it up as a bid situation. So you'll need to get an application and a bidder number in order to adopt one of these burros. Now, depending, between you and me, depending on how many people we have sign up, will depend on whether we do like an oral bid or just a silent bid or a first come, first serve. But in order to be able to bid, you need to fill out an adoption application. And I will have those. I'll try and bring them over to Gladys Hall tonight if they're interested in doing it or filling them out. And we have to sign it, and then I'll sign you a bid number. Or you can wait till Sunday, up to you. They're pretty easy forms to fill out. You can ask previous adopters. It's not like doing your taxes. The only thing you need to know is your social security number and driver's license number. And some people are uncomfortable putting their social on there and that's understandable. But if you do end up adopting, we will need that number before we fill out our paperwork. And if you end up not adopting but fill out an application, you can come pick that up at the end of the event and use it for another event because they're good for 1 year from the date they're signed. So, question over here.
Out of state.
What about out-of-state people? What about you guys? Welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you made the trek. No, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a California resident. You do have to be a United States resident.
So, if I were to adopt one this weekend, it's my responsibility to get the donkey out of Oregon.
Right. So if she, well, she asked if you adopt and you're out of state, what is your time limit? Well, we would like you to have the animals out by, Sunday at the end of the symposium. But if that's not going to work, then we can make some arrangements if we need to.
We can work with them. Amy, have them contacted myself or Kelly.
Okay, so if you decide that, oh my gosh, I have to adopt and I'm here from another state and I didn't bring a trailer, we can make arrangements. We'll talk to some of the local folks here at the horse barns. And we'll get more of those details as they come. So I know I'm trying to cover a million. I know I could stand up here ad nauseum and talk to you all day about adopting and how wonderful it is to train burros. I mean, those 2 burros were mine. I've had them for a while. I trained them myself. Yay me. No, not really. They just happen to be really easy burros. But 2 of our biggest issues with adopters, and I'm guilty, fat donkey. Everybody saw a fat donkey running around here. Guilty. The other big issue we have is feet. Most people, as Ben and Zhao mentioned, are afraid of their feet. And I can't tell you how many times we have rescued animals back from adopters because they are afraid to trim their feet. So you have to get to those feet. Must, must, must. If in that year we come out and check and there's a problem, we'll take the animal back if you can't correct it. Oh, and that also reminds me, if your life situation changes, you can bring the animal back in that year. Any untitled animal we will take back because we would much rather make sure that they're safe in our corrals, which, by the way, are huge, socially housed animals. And people who've been to the corrals can tell you about that, rather than people waiting, oh, God, I got to get them to title, and then, oh, maybe I can sell them and get them out of here because I can't handle them. Just because you can't handle them, and there's nothing wrong with that, doesn't mean the next guy can't. So we really want to make sure that these animals end up in good places and that you're happy with them and they're happy with you. Yeah.
Are there any special conditions, like for your trailer or for once you get them there?
Right. Okay. Thank you for asking these questions. Special conditions. Yes. I have actually, Lynn is holding brochures. She'll hand those out to you. We do have requirements to adopt. They have to have the right kind of fencing. And for burros, it has to be a 4.5-foot fence, which is kind of ridiculous because if anybody knows how high burros can jump. But they have to be a sturdy kind of fence. So, panels like this, not barbed wire, not hot wire, not hog wire. Hog wire being like the 4x4s, for example, or field fence, some people call it. And they have to have at least 400 square foot per animal with a shelter. And then once the animal is gentled, then they can, we don't expect them to stay in that 400 square foot area for the rest of their lives. We prefer not. But that's just until they're really gentled. So if you adopt some of these animals, some of them are going to be ready to go, and other ones you're still going to have to work with. As far as the trailer is concerned, we don't want any 2-horse straight loads, and we prefer not ramps, especially if the ramp is integrated into the door. That's just really dangerous. We won't load into those. If it's a ramp that might be, the add-on where you close the door and then the ramp, we consider that. But we prefer step-ups. Has to have an open floor plan. Definitely no 2-horse straight loads, because these animals can't tie. So you're going to ship them loose. Can they load? Yes. Do they load? Yes, we got them here. One thing BLM animals do, at least twice before they make it to your house, is load in a trailer. So in this case, these animals loaded pretty well. The animals that are on this side, JJ and I met up in Tulare, and we jumped them off of his trailer and onto mine with very little fuss. I mean, it's amazing how well these animals load. We couldn't get, the ones in Susanville, again, they jumped right in. We couldn't get some of them off the trailer. That was a whole different issue. But, I mean, really, we sat there, took 3 of us to get these burros off the trailer, like, get out. So no, loading in is not the problem. Again, you're not leading these animals on. We're driving them on. So it's a little different. Unloading is what? Not always. I mean, we just had these, it got dark and they didn't want to come out. So no, unloading is usually not an issue. They usually come out. So the other thing, keep in mind, if you're loading and unloading especially, they don't lead. So you cannot say, oh, well, my driveway ends here, and then where I'm going to keep the animal is like 100 feet or 100 yards over here. How are you going to get it from here to there without an animal that leads? So you got to keep those kinds of things in mind. Again, we want these animals to be in a good place, a safe place, and we want you to be happy with them. So I know like I said, I could go on and on and on, and probably a lot of the people who've adopted here can too. So any more questions? I'm starting to feel drops. And you don't want a wet, miserable Amy. Question? Oh, back here.
Yeah. How do you end up with these animals? How do you select them? How do they come into your care?
Okay.
Are these just the ones that get caught?
Okay, he asked, how did we get these animals? And in general, how do we get the animals? And I kind of skipped the whole management thing. But I'll give you, a quick and dirty, because we've got 15 minutes left. So the BLM was tasked to manage wild horses and burros in 10 western states in certain areas. And in California, we've got horses primarily up north between Susanville and Cedarville. We have 1 herd of burros up there, which is Twin Peaks, and there's a bunch of them up here. With Twin Peaks, we also get horses and donkeys, which means you get... Right. So yes, we do have wild mules, and also in Centennial herd, the herd management area, we have 1 burro here from Centennial. They also have mules there, but the burros are primarily down south along the Colorado River. So the burros that are on this side of the of the barn, are from the southern part of California. The burros on the other side, except for the one from Centennial, and I think one was born in Utah, are from the northern part of the state. So when we, has anybody ever been to the desert? I hope, yeah. So the desert is really limited in forage and water. So the desert can only sustain so many animals over a long period of time. So when we gather, we try to remove the animals to make the population to the level that the area can sustain in perpetuity. So a lot of these animals were gathered. Well, actually, these animals are primarily all nuisance animals. So nuisance animals are animals that get on people's private property, and we have to remove them. So the Clark Mountain burros, which are a lot of the pink and red burros, and they're really kind of heavy bone, were living in a mine on mine property, and they were becoming a problem for mine traffic and things like that. So we went in there and we bait trapped those and got them out. The Susanville donkeys, I think, were also primarily on people's private property. So if we've got people call in like this mine, or on the Chemehuevi burros, which are the really light built burros on this side, they were in highway right-of-ways, They were on people's private property. So actually, I think everything that's here was privately caught on people's private lands, which has nothing to do with forage and water, as I was starting to talk about. But that is another way that we get burros. So we'll often bait trap those, where they're on somebody's land, the resource is limited, shut the gate behind them, and we load them up and bring them into the corrals, where they sort them. And that's what JJ and Louie do. They sort them. They sort them by gender, and the foals and the jennies go in one pen. The dried jennies go in another pen. The jacks go in their other pen. And then we'll geld the jacks. We'll deworm them. We'll vaccinate them, and then we'll apply the freeze mark. Not all at once, but before they're out before they go for adoption. A lot of times they'll bring them in. They'll give them, they'll sort them, they'll give them their first shot and then let them settle for a while. And then when they do their second shots, they'll put the freeze mark on and do their second round of vaccines. So and then they're ready to go out into the world of the domestic horse and be associated with all the vaccine or the diseases and stuff that domestic horses carry around. We often hear that, Mustangs and burros, they're very dirty. Well, actually, no, they're not. They're very naive. They don't have the domestic diseases out on the range that we have in stabled situations. So we're really adapting our horses and burros to fit into the world of domestic life versus protecting domestic horses from our bad animals. So.
You're a really brave person,
Why? Because I adopted 2 wild asses?
No, well, anyway. The BLM has a tough job, and by God, the people I know who are in it care. They honestly do.